Hey guys, it is Carl Brown from GuitarLessons365.com. We're going to continue our look at Reelin in the Years by starting here with the interlude section. Now this one happens, where does this happen? The minute and 58-second mark. Now this is played by Jeff Baxter, so on the recording, and he does both harmony guitar parts. And it's a little bit tricky to kind of memorize. It's not that tricky to play except for the endings, and the endings usually change each time, and there's some kind of a pretty quick little legato licks in there. All right, so we're still in standard tuning here. Now let's start here with just the rhythm guitar part. The rhythm guitar part is just kind of based around a G to an A, just a kind of a G power chord to an A power chord. Now they do vary it. My only suggestion here is you're still kind of sticking with that triplet feel, so you can play straight through. And then you kind of lay back and just do the kind of the triplet 8. And then when you hear the hits, you kind of hit with them too. But it's just between those two chords. So the feel is kind of the same that you've been doing for the entire song. Just kind of stick with that. You know, the real cool stuff is the little lead lines here. So let's take a look at this first one. Now this is the lowest harmony part. Sounds like this. Now remember that one, I know after I showed to you, because that little ending, the difference is the endings. This ending here is kind of the standard ending. So when I tell you about this lower harmony part, which happens in this interlude but also happens in the second harmony section, and I say just go with the standard ending on the low part, that's that I just played there. So let's go through this standard, this low harmony part with the standard ending first. So we have this 2/4 on the D to the open G. Then do that again. So we have this. Then we basically go up and down through the scale. We go 2/4 on the D, then 0, 2, 4, back to 2 on the G, and pull off to the open G. So we have this. All right, and then we go back down all the way to the 4 on the D, back down to the 2. So you kind of went all the way up and back down. So we get this so far. And then when you get down to that bottom 2 again, go back up, which is just 2, 4, then the open G, pull off 2 to 0. So you didn't go all the way up to the 4 that second time. You just did the 2 to 0 pull off, down to 4 on the D. So that's kind of really the first half of it. So it looks like this. All right, and then we get that where we kind of accent that note and start up top again. We have right here, second fret on the G twice, and then 2 to 4 on the D, and then back to that G, the second fret on the G string twice again. So we have this. So we have this. And then in that, 4 on the D, 2 on the G. So we have this. Now here comes the first ending. It looks like this. So what we're going to do first is do a bar across the second fret unless you want to skip down every time, but you should do a little bar across the second fret of the G and the B string. You're going to pull off 3 to 2 on the B, then go over and play that second fret there on the G string. Now you can lift up that bar. You're going to do a pull off from the 5th fret of the B string to the open B, back to the 2nd fret on that G. So we have this. Then just repeat that. So that's the first ending. All right, then we start over again, and we pretty much just have a different ending. Actually, when you get to, you don't start with the first 2 again. You just go straight to the G string to start over. Now this second ending here, instead of going 4 to 2 and then you do this, that same 4, hit the open B string, that gives you a chance to get into position. This time you're going to pull off, you're not going to do any bars, you're going to pull off 3 to 2 to 0 on the quick little 3 to 2 to 0 on the B, and grab the 2nd fret on the G. Now try to keep that hand shape, because then you're going to do the same lick again, except now it's going to be 5 2 to 0 on the B. Over to that 2nd fret on the G. So we have 3 2 0, then 5 2 0, and repeat. So that's the second ending. Now when we start over, we start going through it again, the high harmony part comes in with it. And now when you go back to the high harmony part there, you're always going to, for the low harmony part, it's going to continue playing. It's always going to do the first ending version. So the standard version that we talked about. So as soon as the high harmony part comes in, it's going to have its thing. And the low harmony part that's going with it is going to be the first version, the first ending that we did. All right, so from there, let's learn the high harmony part. It sounds like this. All right, so it's really fun to play as soon as you get it down, but it's just all happening down here. It's good picking exercise and everything. So the open B, and it's kind of similar, but everything's just kind of moved up. So we're going to start with the open B, then the 0 2 on the G, and then back to the on the 0 2, then back to the open B. Try this. Back to the 0 2. And then we go up and down through the scale like we did in the lower harmony part. So that's 0 2 3 on the high E string. The B string. Then pull off 2 to 0. So just like in the low part where we did a pull off from 2 to 0 on the G. So we have this. Over to the 2nd fret there on the G. Still keeping that 8th note triple feel. Then the 0 2 again on the G. Open B. Then pull off 2 to 0 on the B. And resolve it down to the 2nd fret of the G. So I just play for you those first 2 measures there of the high harmony part. All right, so yeah, it's a lot of notes, a little bit difficult to memorize, but just trying to find like the repetitive parts there for you to focus on. So then we're to the second half of it. So that starts on the 2nd fret there, the B string, played a couple times. Then come over to the 2nd fret on the G, and then the open B, and then again a couple times on that second fret of the B string. So we have this. All right, from there we're going to play 0-3 on the B string, and then go into the ending here, the ending measure. So this one's not that difficult. You're going to pull off 2-0 on the high E string, go over to the second fret there on the B. Then the same thing, except now you're going to pull off from the 5th fret on the high E string, back down to the 2 on the B, do the pull off from the 2nd fret again, high, just repeat what we just did. So you do that twice. And start over again. All right, and that takes us to the first guitar solo here, first main guitar solo, even though we've got a ton of guitar solos so far. So this is the main solo. This happens, let's see if I can find the 2-minute and 26-second mark of the song. All right, so this is what this solo sounds like. All right, so that's got some, kind of goes all over the place, but it's got some nice, definitive, repetitive licks, so then it's not that difficult to memorize. So let's start here with a bend from, you're gonna bend kind of a half step bend. Sometimes you wanna dig into it, maybe do it from 3 frets, but you can just do it from the 14th fret, bend half step up to the 15th. And then, so that's kind of tricky. So we're gonna, so it's gonna slide from 9 to 10 on the high E string, and then kind of quick little hammer between 7 and 9 on the high E, and then down to 5. So with this. All right, from there, we're gonna have this. That's gonna be the hammer 5, 6, 7 on the B string. And then pull off 5-0, back to 5, 7. A little bend there, the 5th fret there on the G string, over to the 7th fret on the A. So we have this. All right, so from there, when we get down to the 7th fret, we're gonna slide up to the 9. Then if you pick the 7th fret on the A, also the A note, it's the D string a few times. Kind of going back and forth between it and the open A string. Then you're gonna start the little kind of sequence where we start moving up the scale. All right, so what's going on there? So just kind of pulling off 9 to 7 on the D string a couple times. And as you kind of hold that 9, and then he starts kind of rapidly picking, going 9, 8, 7, back to 8. Kind of like a 4-note repeated lick. And as he picks through that, just kind of slides up to 10, then up to 11 to resolve it. Now we have this little melody that happens on the D string, and he starts incorporating the open A string with it. All right, so we're gonna just, after you to that 11th fret there, after goes 9, it's 11, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So as he starts building up the scale, especially, I'm gonna start adding that A string in that melody. And then you're gonna slide 14 to 17 on the D string, and then play 14, 12. And here's where it gets a little bit of erratic. So what he's doing is he's doing either playing he's just playing between the 12th and 14th fret there. He's either picking them, or he'll be doing some kind of like hammer and just kind of hammer pull-offs between them. And then he starts descending with it. So he takes the same lick, hammer pull between 12 and 14, then 11 and 12, then 9 and 11, and 7, 9. And then when he gets down to the 5th fret, we have the double stops here at the 5th fret of the G and the B together, over to the 7th fret on the D. That's 7 a couple times, and then we start this ending. Now, you can do the ending like this too, so I'll give you a couple different ways, because it sounds like there's a little overdub in there. But we're gonna can do it like that as well. So what is going on here? We're gonna do the double stops here, across the 5th fret of the B and the G, over that 7th fret twice, and then just roll your finger over to grab the 7th fret double stops on the G and the B. Back to that 7th fret on the D, then the 8th fret there on the G, and then we have this little chord that resolves to, you hear this top note. It's almost like playing a D major chord there at the 9th fret. This gives you an A major. Or you can just play it as an A power chord if you think that sounds better. So open A, the 8th to 7th fret on the D, and the 9th fret on the G. And just to end it with this lick, we're just hammering 9 to 12 on the G, over to 10 on the B. All right, now the rhythm here is the same for the first half of the solo that it is over the interlude section. So it's just kind of... And then he starts going to G. So that's just the same rhythm, but when we get to that G, the second half of that's just 3, 5, 8, it's just power chords, and then the 5th. And then you're going to leave this one by going 5, 8, 5, 3. So we have this so far. And back here, and then in this one with 3, 5, 10, 8, 5. That's to the end of the solo. All right, so it's just a little variation that they're ending that, so keep it a little bit more interesting than just going between the G and the A. All right, so up next we're going to take a look at the chorus fill for the last thing we'll look at this particular part 2 video is the solos that happen underneath over the 3rd chorus. Now, it's a little bit different for the first 2 choruses. They had their own solos, but this one lasts for the entire length of the chorus. So it comes in immediately, not halfway through it. All right, so it sounds like this. All right, so that ending there is a little bit on the recording. This is kind of very low in the mix and it's very erratic. So he's just kind of messing around with a couple different licks, and I'll show you what those are. The more definitive parts of the solo is the beginning of it. So we have this little, so that's sliding 7 to 9 on the A, over to 7 on the D, then slide to 9, back down to 7. And then we had the 9th fret on the G, pick that a couple times, slide up to 11, back down to 9. Same thing starting at the 12th fret, 12, up to 14, back down to 12. Now this part sounds very disjointed right here on the recording. And it's just kind of built around octaves, kind of probably hybrid picked. So that's going to be the 9th fret on the G and the 12th fret on the high string. Then move that down 2 frets. So I'm picking the low G string first, and then with my middle finger grabbing the top note, kind of making them kind of punchy. And then same thing at the 7th fret, then 6. Then come down here and slide into the 4th fret. I'm just kind of calling out the fret of the first finger, but you know what's going on with the pinky as well. Down to 2. So we have this. All right, then he starts a longer kind of octave phrase. All right, so that starts there where we ended here, this B octave. So 4th fret there, then the 2nd fret, and then you're going to change over to the low note being on the D and the top note being on the B string. You're going to be up at the 5th fret, then down to 2. Then the octave shape for here on the 5th fret on the A to the 7th fret on the G. So you can play 5th. That same kind of playing the bottom note, then the top, and then 4th, then 2. So with this. Into an A major chord. Now here is where he starts kind of just messing around, starting with some slides from 7 to 5 over to the 5th fret there on the high string, and then do the slide again, then back down to 5th. Just kind of really just messing around with those 3 notes, and then adding some of there's not really kind of a pattern to it. You'll just do these little hammer-ons or slide into it. Then he just kind of descends. It's very hard to hear in the mix here, so it's kind of just, so you can pretty much do whatever you want. But a good way of kind of getting down is in 5th fret on the high E string, pull off 7 to 5, and then kind of a bend there on the 5th fret on the G. And then 7 on the D, open D string, and then come down here and play just 4th fret there on the D, and then here he just hammers on to that a couple more times. Kind of resolving it and getting ready to go into the second interlude section. Now underneath that chorus was the same progression as before, as the first 2 choruses. All right, so in the next video we are going to start with the second interlude section and take a look at that outro solo. I'll see you there.